Another trending ticker that we're watching today is Intel. CEO Pat Gelsinger's abrupt exit really rocking the stock, or rocking Wall Street yesterday. You can see a bit of a give back here this morning, off just about 0.8% decline in yesterday's trading day. We want to bring in Mandeep Singh. He's Bloomberg Intelligence senior tech industry analyst. It's great to have you on. So I think the big question, day two of this story, is very much, we talked a lot about what this means ultimately for Intel, how this could really impact that turnaround strategy. But what does it mean for some of its biggest competitors? Is this an opportunity for some of them to gain even more of an advantage?
I mean, look, for a company like Intel to have this sort of uncertainty when they were not executing well, if you are a customer of Intel, which I think a lot of the hyperscaler and the enterprise companies are, when it comes to the Intel CPUs, you would rather go to NVIDIA, which you were going there already for the AI accelerators, but overall, chip strategy would revolve more around, focusing on a stable company like NVIDIA right now compared to Intel. And that's where the risk is, for the board to bring anybody new without having the sort of credentials that Pat had. Really would create more uncertainty and probably market share loss to hyperscalers doing their own chips, or even for that matter, Apple, or, everybody who is doing their own chips right now when it comes to the processor, whether it's accelerators or CPUs. And a lot of companies have already pivoted to ARM-based ecosystems. I think that's where Intel has the most risk, given this uncertainty with Pat leaving the company.
If the wrong person is selected to now fill this role, does that put Intel in a position where they could very well already become a political punching bag, knowing what President-elect Trump has said about what the CHIPS Act implications could look like once we see the changing of the guards in D.C. and the removal of some of those dollars that have been earmarked, or at least stretched out in such an obscure period of time?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there was clearly some sort of disagreement between Pat Gelsinger and the board around the future strategy, which is why this sort of happened abruptly. And if they really want to split the foundry business with the chip design business as separate companies, I think it begs the question, where does the CHIPS Act money go? Probably to the foundry side, and then how do they really revive the core chips business, especially on the PC side? So that's where, somebody internally probably may be a better option. But at the same time, I mean, Pat Gelsinger had all the credentials. So the fact that he couldn't turn it around just goes to show how tough it is to turn around a company like Intel.
What's your assessment just of Intel's ability to compete with some of its rivals at this point?
I mean, the thing about semiconductor chip making is once you fall behind, and we have seen this, over the course of the semiconductor history, the dominant company continues to gain share, and, they really have sort of a monopoly that Intel did back in the day with CPUs. And it feels like a similar thing is playing out in the accelerator world with NVIDIA dominating that market. And it's very hard for Intel to catch up to, NVIDIA on the AI accelerator front. At the same time, the core PC CPU market is still a pretty sizable market. I mean, we're talking about 250 million PC shipments a year. And if there is an AI leg to it, that means everyone is looking to upgrade to AI PCs. That will drive an acceleration, and x86 is still the dominant architecture. So that's the cash cow that Intel needs to protect, or whoever they appoint as a new CEO really needs to make sure they don't end up losing share on that CPU front.
When you think about what we've seen in terms of the stock price activity, both after yesterday's decision, sure, there was a little bit of a pop that we saw, but overall, I mean, we're looking at the past 52 weeks. The stock is down by about 44% here. As you think about what investors can look to in the future, how quickly do you think this company can mount a turnaround, if at all, and how quickly it would pass through the shares? We only got about 15 seconds.
Yeah, look, from a sum of the parts basis, a lot of the bad news is priced in. And look, if you start breaking down the company into its parts, sell the Mobileye division, the Altera, all the non-core businesses except the core CPU, you can improve the look and feel of the margin profile of the business and raise a lot of cash, which should please investors in the near to medium term. But there's no way you can revive the company as a whole. And I think that was a challenge that Pat wasn't able to execute on.